All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. I am so excited. We actually have changed the time of this broadcast because there's so much going on in our industry right now, and things are getting crazy busy. So we're bringing this to you at a different time of day. And if you're watching on the replay, please let us know. I am here with my colleagues Paul Capozio and Angel Chandler, and I've been using this mantra lately. When you get the chance to work with legends, you just say yes. And I am so excited to work with these guys and the people that we have been working with recently. So we are on we're all going to stay unmiked, and we may interrupt each other because this is the way we work together. We're kind of inviting you into a conversation that we're having. Not really so much of a training, but having a conversation, right, guys? So, what we really wanted to talk about today was having the story that you have, the things that you have overcome in the past, that really helps you to identify who you're uniquely equipped and qualified to help. Right. And I know, Paul, you had me get up on stage at an event about a year ago. And I told my story, and I remember I did it. I studied Lisa Nichols beforehand, and I told my background story, and everyone kind of got this really sad look on their face. And I used a Lisa Nichols thing, and I said, "Hold on, my story gets better. Don't feel bad for me." So that's really, I think, where I try to look back to where was I, where did I come from, what have I overcome, and how does that uniquely qualify me and equip me to help other people. So I'd love to have you guys chime in on that. And then I want to play just a little piece of our program that we did with Ray Higdon, where he talks about this topic. So Angel, I'd love for you to weigh in.
Absolutely. And I think I shared on that video that we did on Monday that for me, deciding to come into this business and this industry was all because of the stories that I heard and the people that I related to from where they had been and where they had gotten to, not because of where they were now and that I was, starstruck or, wanted their success. Of course, I wanted their success, but hearing their stories is what made me say, I can do this too. And for me, that was one thing that I really had to learn along the way. Having success in a company and really building a big team and having that fall apart it didn't feel great to share that story at first, right? It felt like failure. And even though it wasn't my fault and it was, due to a compensation plan change, it was something that it was like, I felt like I let people down. You bring people in, you become a family, you're all having success, and then boom, something happens and it doesn't feel great. And then, I went into a couple of new companies and I didn't want to share that those didn't work either but now it's like, along the years and gaining the confidence and gaining the experience, you understand. I can now say, guys, going into a brand new company, it's not the hot thing that you think it is. It's not that great tipping point of success that you think that coming into something brand new, you have no idea what's about to happen. Are the products effective? Does the compensation plan work? Is the company good? Who's the owner? What's their plan? You don't know any of that. But back then, I wasn't comfortable with sharing that. I had to learn that these stories, and I think you have to get through them and you have to learn that lesson yourself before you're comfortable with sharing. And then the same thing with personal life. At first I didn't want to share I'm going through a divorce. I'm a single mom now full time. Like those things weren't comfortable. But now it's become, hey, I'm a single mom full time and I'm doing this business and I've rocked it out and I'm helping other people make money. And I don't identify as a victim, I identify as a victor. Right. And I don't go personal into my last relationship or what happened. People don't need to know the details, but they need to know that you were able to come through it. And if I got through it, I know I can lead other people through their hard times, which may not resemble mine. They could be completely different, but I can say, listen, let's start. This is day one. Let's take that step forward. Let me help you. I've been through this journey. I promise if you just hold my hand and keep looking forward, I'll help you get to where you want to go. And everybody has a story and don't be ashamed of it. So many people come in shame and they come embarrassed or even if they have to say, I don't have the money for this right now. That's so embarrassing, right? Like for some people, that's the hardest thing to say. I can't afford it. We get on there and we say, oh, it's only $199, guys. It's like so cheap to get in. Well, somebody who doesn't have $199 doesn't feel like that's really cheap. Right.
Yeah.
So it's being able to say, listen, let me help you to get there. What can we do to make this something that can happen for you. Let's work together. Let's start building your team before you even come in. Let's start bringing people in with you. Let's start talking to people. I'll work with you. If this is something you really want, I'll work with you and help you to get there. So that's what I've learned along the way about the stories and being comfortable. And I'm still on that journey of being comfortable with my own personal stories and how things go, right? So I'll pass it back to you, Peg and Paul.
Yeah, I love everything that you said, Angel. It really hit home with me because, talking about something falling apart, when it's falling apart, you can't talk about it then, right? You have to speak from a scar, not a wounded place, right?
Yeah.
You can't be in that place of, oh my God, my life is awful, and and guide someone else out of it. You've got to put your own oxygen mask on first, right?
Yes.
But I think it makes us so relatable. It makes us like, if someone's been through something similar, it makes like, oh my God, she gets me. She can help me. She's been through this. So Paul, I know you stayed muted because you're on the beach. So I would love to hear from you on this topic.
Well, then let me take advantage of being here on the beach. And I want to introduce somebody. So being a multiple seven-figure earner in the industry starts out with your first $25 check like it did for me. But I wanted to introduce John Lopresto, who is another multiple seven-figure earner. And we're here at the beach. And I think this is good to start from the middle of my story versus the beginning or the end of my story, because my story's not over. And you may be seeing this saying, oh my God, on the beach, though, the whole 9 yards. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Apologize. Hold on. So can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to the beauty of this business is you get to start off with people at the beginning of their journey. They get little glimpses of your success, Peg, and Angel's success, and John's success, and my own success, with the hopes of maybe they can get there. But the beauty for us as leaders is we get to tell our stories when they're at the beginning of their journey. And when they're at the beginning of their journey, when it may seem impossible, like Angel said, $199 may be the world to somebody, but we've seen people have a garage sale, a yard sale to get started. There's so many great stories like that. I think, Angel, your story is similar to that, right? So that's where it begins. So let me tell you a little bit about your story. You're building your story. You don't have to tell my story, because what you don't see right now is bankruptcy at 22 years old. When I went bankrupt at 22 years old, or at 42 years old, when I lost $13 million in stock, $13 million. The company I collected that at that point that I had that stock issued to me for a company I was working for, and the company went under. It was shut down. The company was seized. It was a publicly traded company, right? So you don't see that. Right. What you do see, though, is never giving up, never quitting. If you're tired of starting over, stop quitting. Stop quitting and build your story. So you don't need a disaster story like mine, or losing a relationship and having companies fold underneath you like Angel, or your story about losing a business, Peg, and then getting into the business and paying off your debt. They need to hear the ability of paying off the debt, or Angel being a top trainer and a course writer in the industry, or me being a top leader in the industry. It started with us being a mess, a disaster, right? And everybody gets to start there. What I hope for you, and what I mentioned to Ray's got a very similar story. We had Monday night, we had Ray Higdon on, where he talked about losing his business and losing his properties and having a house seized away from him. Your story doesn't have to be that drastic, but you have to have a story. And if you don't have a story and you can't share a story, then it's really hard to build. You got to have something that's going to drive you. Yes, you could have desires like a Ferrari or a big house on the beach or something like that. But more so, you got to have that story that's going to drive you to say never again. It's never going to happen to me again. I'm going to pass it on to John for a second.
I love what he just said, and you guys are working so hard, and the content is so great. I watch a lot of your stuff. I know you probably don't know I watch a lot of your stuff, but I do pay attention. I got to go to Ray's event. I still have my Faith Over Fear bracelet on. I was there last year. And what did I notice? I noticed that every one of his speakers who was wildly successful had overcome some serious trauma, every one of them, whether it was chemical addiction, drugs, or alcohol, being at the lowest point of their life, being on their belly, and they picked themselves up and they found a place here in this industry, and they had mentorship and they believed again. And again, Faith Over Fear was a faith-driven event. It was, again, people who were almost born again, feeling that, you know what, I got to get connected with my true self. But whatever your story is, doesn't matter. The resonance the thing that resonated with me was all of these people came from the bottom. They were on their belly. They had physical, emotional, financial, so much struggle, and they all overcome. And that was the theme of the whole entire week. I'm like, everyone I got to listen to had some really massive hardship, way worse than anything I've ever gone through in my life. But they picked themselves up and they found a voice. And anyone can do it. You don't have to be on your belly to do it, but it's a good starting point. You know why? Because you can't go any lower. It's unfortunate, but it's true, right? So I want to chime in. Thanks.
Such a
Have a
good
great
point.
sacrifice. Back to you, Peg. We got
Such a
tons
good-
to say, obviously, all of us.
Yes, such a good point that John made, and but you don't have to get there, like you said on the call with Ray. You don't have to hit that rock bottom, right? You can be that person who's just, you know, maybe looks back and says, I didn't realize how bad my life was until it got better, right? And helping people to see that. So I'd like to share just a couple minutes of what Ray had said on this topic on our call, just to give you all an idea of the quality content that we have on our Monday call. So bear with me for just a sec here. I'm going to share this. You can hopefully let me know if you can hear it, okay? Because
and so everyone has been equipped to help some type of person, and most often many types of people. And I remember, you know, we had a client that, you know, she was a multiple six-figure earner and as an executive, got into her first company, hit $1 million a year her first year in her first company. That company, she had a problem, went to the next company, hit $1 million first year there, right? So I'm like, okay, where have you ever struggled? Because no one relates to the person who's never struggled. Nobody. And so if you get up and just tell how awesome you are, people will golf clap, but they don't connect with you and they don't see themselves in your story. And so we had to dig. I had to ask a lot of questions. But as a little girl, she was with her, I think 5 or 6 different, you know, siblings, and she remembers her mom and dad divvying up a can of beans and arguing about money. And she vowed as a little girl that she would never struggle with money. See, that's a powerful story. And so everyone has a powerful story, and you are equipped to go and help someone. It doesn't have to be some, you know, drastic thing. So certainly don't go lose it all to try to have a great story. You know, God allows us to go through certain things because, quite frankly, I needed it. I was an arrogant jerk when I was in real estate. I needed to be humbled. I needed to lose it all. It's one of the greatest things that happened to me. And in fact, I don't regret or wish that I didn't go through child abuse, because it allowed me to connect and relate with when I go and speak with kids in foster care. When I walk up there, you know, they kind of give me this look like, who's this guy? 2 stories in, they're like, oh, okay, this guy gets me, right? When I talk about abuse. And so whatever you've gone through is just an equipping, right? And so you shouldn't desire, I sure wish I went through more, right? You should say, okay, let me look backwards and see, who am I called to help? Who am I equipped, anointed, and called? Who do I have confident that I can help? And anything you've escaped out of it, anything you've grown through, anything you survived, you now have confidence to go and help people that are going through that same thing or have gone through that same thing. And so, yeah, certainly you don't let yourself, you know, become worse off, you know, for some reason or anything. And you don't have to have a struggle story. But there are things that you overcame. Guaranteed. There's something.
It's exactly right. I was hoping that's exactly where you're going to go. The wait, what moment. Everybody's got a wait, what? What happened to you? You know, that wait, what moment in your story. Just go look and find it. So that's exactly where I thought you were going to go, and I appreciate it. The next thing is when you found your.
so that that just really, I think, drove home to me that telling that story, right? And everyone's got something that they've overcome. So if you feel like, what do I have to offer? Who can I help? There is something. And even I see people post all the time things on Facebook like, what would you tell your 14-year-old self today? That's a form of that, right? That's a form of saying, this is where I was, this is what I've been through, and this is where I am today. So I'd love for both of you to weigh in on what Ray shared there, and then we will wrap it up. And I want to invite people to if they want to hear the full replay of the show that we did with Ray, you can text. I'll put in the comments. You can just text me and we'll send you a replay of that. So Angel, go ahead, and then we'll let Paul close it out.
I think just hearing the power of what Ray just shared and hearing the power of our stories that we just shared and, how we've had to grow comfortable in sharing and in being vulnerable, right? Vulnerability is one of the hardest things. And it doesn't mean that you're trapped in ego if you can't be vulnerable. It just means that you haven't yet gotten comfortable with sharing your story. But if you think about it, if you're holding back from sharing your story because it's a little bit uncomfortable, what if that one time you share it, just one person in this entire world is affected and their world is changed because you came forward with your story that they could relate to? How many times a day, I know Paul, Peg, myself, how many times a day do we share something and somebody reaches out and says, that's exactly what I needed? I can share a story and somebody's like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed today. I didn't even write the content. I'm just resharing something. And I get that. It's that tiny action. It's like that domino effect, right? You hit those dominoes and it is rippling through the atmosphere into people's homes, into their minds, into their lives. And that's what network marketing is. So if you're, we always say the whole Yale to jail thing, right? Whether or not you went to Yale or you've been in jail, network marketing is open to you. And it's true. And no matter what your story is, like John just said, if you're on your belly, if that's literally at your rock bottom, those are the stories when your back is against the wall and you have to make something happen. Those are some of the most incredible stories we've heard. People with disabilities, people who are blind, people who are deaf, people who have lost everything. They're alone and they've found this industry because guess what? This becomes a family and this becomes a new circle. And there's nowhere that you can go, I swear, where you're going to get this kind of personal development, this kind of support, these kind of system strategies, the ability to build as big as you want. And so if you were able to ask for the biggest scoop of ice cream in your life, how big would that be? And whatever that is for you is available here, right? And I think that just by sharing and by being comfortable and just by surrendering and saying, yes, I can do this. And yes, I'm okay with myself. And yes, I love myself enough to be able to share myself and see where that takes you. It's like magic, right? It's just everything happens after that.
Yeah. So well said. I 100%, Angel. I think that what you said about the personal development that we get in this industry and the growth, where do you find that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's all you came away with, it's 100% more than 100% worth it. So Paul, can I turn it over to you and John?
Yeah, sure. So I want to comment on something that Angel said about grow comfortable. You're not going to be comfortable when you first start doing this. You're going to be uncomfortable, but grow comfortable and you also grow confident. None of us start out confident or comfortable. In fact, it's very hard to build this big by being comfortable, right? You got to get outside your comfort zone. So there's a couple of things I want to share. That's why we want you to get on empowerhour.com every Monday at 7:00. Go to nulempower.com. Peg will share a lot of stuff. We don't need to do it now. Start following us. Follow Peg Tucker. Go on Facebook and follow Peg Tucker. Follow Angel Chandler. Follow these ladies. They'll show you and guide you the way every single day. Just tap in. You don't have to be in our company. You just have to follow, and you'll get strategies that will give you this. There's a great book by, what's the name of the book, John?
Beach Money.
Beach Money by Jordan Jordan. How are you, buddy? I hope you're watching. If not, we're going to send you this. But this is possible after the struggle.
Yeah.
This is possible when you grind out when you need to grind out. You don't have to hit rock bottom. And if you feel you're close to rock bottom, then start now. Don't wait it to happen because it's so much longer to grow from there. So, Angel, brilliant to say grow comfortable, grow confident, right? And go to lionprideacademy.com. Go to Peg's page. She's going to share with you some amazing social media trainings. You got to check out Angel Chandler's LinkedIn training on how to build in LinkedIn. It actually has people building countries. So we got content for you guys. I hope you like it. And we'll see you at the beach.
Yes.
Over, guys.
Thanks,
Lifestyles
guys.
of the rich and famous over there.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right.
Love you guys.